Overwatch's Hero Mastery Gauntlet just came out a couple of months ago, and it's already being shut down in a couple of weeks. I had never played it before, and I wanted to see what everything was all about, so I got a couple of friends, and we tried it out, and I'm going to give you my review, my first impressions, if I thought it was good or not, and if it deserves to stay or be changed in any way. So, I'm going to go ahead, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to give you some of my first impressions before I played it, just going in, looking at the things, like, you know, how it tells you how to play the game, what it's like actually playing the game, and what I kind of missed on the go-around, and just basically, is this game mode actually salvageable? Was this a mistake in the first place? Is it any fun to begin with? So, Hero Mastery. If you go in here, it's not the single-player courses, it's the Gauntlet, which is co-op, so you'll go ahead and you'll hit the Gauntlet, and you'll see the map. The single one map the UIs are going to be playing on the entire time. Which is a bit disappointing because it doesn't change at all, and for a game mode that is very, very, very loosely roguelike, and I mean that in the vaguest sense possible, the most outskirts of roguelike possible, I feel like if the map layout changed every time, it would make the game a little more interesting, or if things changed a little bit between rounds, it would be a little more fun to play over and over again. Because you have to remember that this game mode was meant to be played forever. And we'll get into some of the stuff with that. So, the first thing you are going to notice when you check out the instructions tab over here is that there are 4 things, and there is more reading than I expected. There are a lot of tower upgrades to know about. There's a lot of round information to look at, and basically just how it's scored, how it plays, everything. Also on here, which I missed, I didn't even realize this was part of it, you can click all of these to see what's going on, like how you interact with the map. I missed this. I did not realize that these were interactable, so I didn't quite understand a couple of things. So some of the things that I missed was fast travel. I didn't know that these platforms, you could stand on them and they'll bring you somewhere else. Had no idea. I just saw them on the ground and I didn't interact with them. Before I went in, I had to have a friend tell me that these are traps. I figured out pretty quickly that these were sniper perches because only snipers ever landed on them. And then I had to ask a friend what was the purpose of emblems, because you get more points if you get them all. So basically, right off the bat, even on the info screen, the first screen that you see, I missed a bunch of crucial stuff. And a couple of my friends who even played with me even said that they didn't even notice that these were here. Some of the people that had already played this game mode before. So, again, there's a lot more than I was expecting. There were a lot of these abilities. I'm not going to count them all here, but I was not expecting there to be this much stuff. I felt it would be more hero-focused, not tower ability-focused, rather. So that was very interesting to me. So there's all this stuff, and we'll get into some of the actual stuff later, but I did also check the leaderboard while I was at it. And a very clear meta kind of showed its face, because it looks like Torb, Bap, Diva, and I guess you can replace Bap and Zen with each other. Those seem to be the strongest picks. And I had not played the game mode yet, so I didn't quite know why, but it did definitely dictate what we played in the amount of games that we played trying it out. The other thing that I noticed a lot is I checked the challenges because I wanted to see what I was getting myself into. And the challenges seemed a little overwhelming in some aspects, because, most of them are just win on expert or do stuff on expert, which isn't like that bad. Then there's a couple that's like win on legendary without dying, which is probably pretty hard because we struggled to win on expert with my group. And then win on five star each roll this is expert, but still 5-star each roll, which again at first seems really daunting. And then the biggest one that signifies to us that they wanted this game mode to be played for a very long time is that it says complete 5,000 rounds in Hero Mastery Gauntlet. every time you play this game mode, there are 10 rounds each. And it takes 15 minutes maybe to get through a whole session of them. That would be 500 games that you have to beat to get that achievement. That is an insane level of grinding to try to get that name card. That's one of those that it's like, hey, you need to win 1,700 quick play games. Well, yeah, over the course of the lifetime of the game cycle, I'll probably get that one. But getting through 5,000 rounds in the Hero Gauntlet, that's like Blizzard saying, you're going to be playing this for a long time and you're going to like it. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about, is that the case? Was the game fun, right? And right off the bat, you're forced to start on hard. It doesn't unlock. We didn't even get past expert. So whoopsies. It doesn't even unlock expert or legendary until you hit hard, and then we'll talk about our experience on expert because we actually 5-starred multiple times. We just never beat it, which is kind of silly. But it starts you on hard, and immediately I was not engaged at all. Nothing was really engaging or made sense, and I was just kind of shooting these bots. I was playing Diva. I had unlimited ammo. I didn't have to think about anything. I was just sitting there face tanking, cycling micro missiles when they were on cooldowns. And even as the game mode progressed into the harder levels, it still was not very engaging, trying to interact with everything. Now, obviously I was playing on a lower difficulty, and I should be playing on higher difficulties, but the thing is that I didn't see the fun in it on the lower difficulties. When I play the PvE missions, they have plenty of problems of their own, but I get the appeal. Even when I start them on that lower difficulty, I see what's fun about them. I see where the design and everything is. I did not see that on this first run on hard. And I feel like that is a really troubling thought to go like, oh, I'm about to play this game mode for a little bit of time and I'm immediately not very invested in it. Part of that is down to you can see the map here. This space is big and empty. Very flat. You would expect there to be some verticality, but these are almost non-factors. All of these like raised areas, you typically just sit on the floor and you don't even think about LOS or anything other than when the sniper bots get there. That's kind of it. Not a very engaging map, and obviously they aren't going for it to be visually interesting, so when the design of it is also not interesting, it's really boring to play on for multiple hours at a time. So yeah. I already talked about, when you actually look at the map on the instructions, it'll tell you what to do, but if you miss this, like I did and some of my friends did, you have no idea how to interact with anything. Nothing is really explained, or it looks like what it's supposed to do. Like, I had no idea what these trapdoors were. It doesn't look like a trapdoor because it's an orange box. This does not look like a fast travel pad because it's a blue box. Like, it's the visual indicators are not great. Like, obviously these look like pickups, and the sniper nest, they made themselves pretty apparent, like what they actually were by the time you keep playing the game. And of course, like, I know it's a tower defense mode, I know what the towers are, but some of the stuff just did not really make sense, especially just like the whole turret systems. Basically what they have is that every turret or tower has 4 slots of abilities that you can set up on the tower, okay? One of them is a turret, one of them is a barrel, one of them is an area effect, and one of them is a defensive ability, okay? This is explained in here, but the first time you read this, you don't quite understand that only each tower has one for each group. To me, it just seemed like it would be completely random. And that's not the case. And visually, it looks like it's completely random because no one pillar. Do you see these pillars? This is how they're denoted. Like bottom here, that's an ability, and one on the back. They'd have no visual distinction. So you would just have to know what emblem is what to understand what spot that is. So you just have to look at, you would walk up to one of the things. Oh, that's not it. You would walk up to one of the things and you would see the airstrike, right? You would see this emblem, and then you would just have to know, okay, this is the defensive position. So everything that we reroll here is going to be the defensive stuff. It really does not come across very well, in my opinion. Another thing that did not come across is that turrets can be picked up and moved around. This is not explained anywhere. In fact, it may be in the instructions somewhere, but I actually had no idea that you could pick up a turret until after we were done. Because they just place themselves on the ground, and most of the other abilities that you get are confined to the tower, which we'll get to in a minute. But it is not clear that you can actually move these turrets. So this entire time, I was just letting the turrets go, and I'd be like, this turret's kind of like not doing very much because it's right here by the tower. By the time they get to the tower, they're probably already attacking it. So what's the point of this turret? There's just plenty of things like that just do not come across visually. I suggested that perhaps in this tower upgrades, there was a color code to these reroll groups that, like the turrets are red and the barrel group is yellow and the area group is green and the defense group is blue or something. And then that way you would know, like, okay, these are all like all together, that when I re-roll something and I spend my money on it, I know that it's going to be one of these things. And then you could apply that color to the tower. Each pillar has that corresponding color, so then you know, like, oh, on this side is the defensive one, so you're not wasting time trying to find which ability is what and like analyzing the icons. Instead, you could just see, okay, this is the green one, this is whatever group, right? But basically at the end of the day, it just is not, there's so many things that just are not communicated very well because there is no visual design to indicate them. Most of this stuff has to be taught through the instructions, which are not great in my opinion, and you just kind of feel like you're kind of lost on this map sometimes because it is very samey and does not have lots of visual distinction. Okay, so I talked about how a lot of the deployables were confined to the turret, or to the tower, which was really weird to me. We're going to take the turret out of this because you actually can move it, but the rest of the stuff, like, we don't even know if you can move the barrels or not, but for a tower defense, it feels like the setup phase should have you actually placing units and turrets and everything in different spots, understanding where the bots are going to be coming from. There are a couple rounds where you know the exact path of the bots, and other rounds where they're just completely random. So setting up is kind of a crapshoot, and between rounds, there's just not much for you to actually set up. So you're just like trying to react to where things are going, and that doesn't really make sense to me in terms of tower defense, because in tower defense, the whole genre is really about getting ready. And then once you're like, basically you test your defense, and then you can change things on the fly to help you better get through it, which is what you would be doing in the middle of the game, right? While you're firing things, you're changing your position, reacting to where things are coming from. But there's so many elements that are just kind of left up in the open and not a lot of room to work with that it feels like most of the time you are just only reacting. Which is contrary to tower defense in general, but also contrary to the rest of Hero Mastery, because the rest of Hero Mastery is all like really set routes and really defined ways to do it. It's like speed running, right? Obviously this isn't that, but it doesn't feel like it has the same amount of like preparation and like strategy. It really feels more of like, we're going to pick these heroes and there's not much more that is going to go into it. You're just going to click the buttons on the towers when you have enough money. And there's a couple of weird scoring things about, like, apparently when you buy abilities for towers, you get more points or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of weird scoring things that I also didn't know about. If you got an environmental kill, you get more points. Who would know? There's no... You can put people in the traps, but I didn't even know there were traps. So, anyways, with that being said, it feels like the game wants you to play closer to the towers, right? Because all the abilities are close to the towers. However, you can see here, these are the hero mastery tokens, which get you a lot of points. And, getting your score up is like the whole point of the game mode. They kind of feel randomly located super far away from the turrets, from the towers. And I can see a world where it's like, okay, it's like a distraction and you're trying to like min-max what's going on, right? Like trying to like, okay, now is my time to get the hero mastery tokens. But getting them is not really engaging. And a lot of times it's like these gigantic detours where you put your entire team at risk. And that just doesn't feel correct. Like, again, if you were to able to place things all over and have a better defense than just what the heroes on the map are, you would have more opportunity to go look for these tokens without everything else going to shit. It just doesn't feel like it was a good idea, but not a really good execution of it. Alright, so there's also different rounds. Some of them, especially in the beginning, are pretty easy. Just some regular explosive bots or whatever. The target practice rounds, which we'll get to, those are, they're designed to be a little easier. But others of them, especially later, are sadistic. The Horde round, for example, just places 1 million bots in one spot, and you're in a round where you're supposed to be defending 2 of the towers at the same time, but then they throw 1 million at you, and they place it right on top of one of the towers. So it's like, I'm just like 50-50 whether I'm at the right tower to deal with the Horde. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel like there's actual like defense there. It's just like I'm just guessing and hoping that my tower's not going to take 1 million damage while I fly back over to the other one. Also, there is this target practice round. There's one target practice round. They literally say that it's time for a breather, and it's just to get your score up, okay? And also probably like heal your turrets or your towers and everything. Why is it on round 3? I don't quite understand why I need a breather after the 2 easiest rounds in the game. This would be much better served on round like 6 or 7 or 8. Something in the end where I can take a second and try and rebuild my towers that are actually taking damage or rebuild my defenses while I get my score up. This feels worthless where it's currently at, and it feels really boring because there's nothing to do in between those modes because they are the easiest in the entire game. So what is the point of even having this here if it's not really going to do what they're saying that it's going to? Also, I will say in general, just, there are tower upgrades, but it is PvE, and it is kind of like roguelike and stuff. It feels like I should be able to enhance my character. That's, I think, asking a lot, and if they really wanted to put effort into this, maybe they would add that in the future. I'm not going to get onto them for that, because that just, it is what it is, but it feels like I should be able to do more with my hero. I talked about that weird, confusing reroll system. Some really weird stuff that I missed as well. Torb can heal all of these turrets, and he's the only one who can heal a turret. So that just makes him objectively better in this game mode that he already was really good in. It's kind of funny, but it's also like, why would you do that? Why would I even pick any other DPS if no one else has even access to this ability or anything like it? No one else has any special things like that. That was just weird to me. I mean, it's funny, but, I talked about target practice and the visual indicator. So yeah, that's my impressions of the game mode just from there. So let's talk about, is it worth saving? Before I played this, I figured that anything is worth saving because they put time and effort into this. Obviously, this is just using the bones of PvE stuff as much as they could muster and try to get the ideas out in probably a very rushed and clunky way. But there was probably room to grow. Were they actually going to grow it? Who knows? But this was not played very much. I'm assuming they didn't use that many resources extra to actually make this mode, so I'm not going to get on to them about, wasting resources or anything that could be going to other things. But I will say that I think this mode is just a failed experiment. I think a tower defense mode would be cool, but I think the way that they went about this was just really not on the mark, and something really engaging to the level of wanting to play it for 5,000 rounds would need to be much more in-depth and much more engaging. And if I'm not engaged on round 2 of my first go-around, then I'm definitely not going to be engaged on round 2,000. And I wouldn't even be anywhere close to that. So, Blizzard shutting it down just to free up server space, probably the right call. I don't necessarily disagree with them trying something like this because, again, they want to recoup some of that PvE stuff as much as they can, and I applaud them for trying. But at the end of the day, this game mode just did not work for me, and I was thinking about trying to get some of the like achievements that you probably wouldn't be able to get anymore after they're done. But the fact that I would have to convince 2 more people multiple times to try and play this kind of mind-numbing game mode, I don't really want to force them to do that. So I more than likely won't try this game mode again before it goes away. And I don't think anyone is really like heartbroken that it's going away. So if you never tried this yourself, you're really not missing much. If you did try it yourself, I'm sorry to hear that. Again, Blizzard, good try. I understand everything, but execution needed a little bit of work. So anyways, that is my impressions of the Hero Mastery Gauntlet after really only an hour or 2 of playing. If you've played this game mode, please let me know what you think of it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Anything like that. Feel free to leave a comment, and if you like this video, any of the other good YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, does really help me out at the end of the day. If you want to get in on these discussions live, I was actually making this list with people in my Twitch chat, and they were telling me things that I didn't even know about it. Then that's going to be twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway. I do a discussion every single time I go live. And then, other than that, the rest of my socials are down below. Thank you so much, and have a good day.